Well, happy Friday. Let's go ahead and get started. I am Sara Webb. So good to see all of you. Everybody say thank you to Priscilla. If you have any questions, please go ahead and send a note to Priscilla. If you can't hear us, I think some people may not have connected fully to... There we go. I think people are figuring it out. So yeah, if you have a question, go ahead and send it to Priscilla. She'll be monitoring the chat. Tonight, we're going to talk about the itty bitty shitty committee. I call this space in between our ears the itty bitty shitty committee. Self-criticism, self-doubt, self-loathing, and then breakup happens. And it gets even worse. We can't eat. We can't fucking sleep. We can't stop thinking about her. We can't stop thinking about what went wrong. Why did it go wrong? At what point? What if I would have? What if she wouldn't have? What if I do this now? All that bargaining. Heartbreak is a trauma. It is a grief. Like losing somebody to death. And some people in our beautiful Queer Hearts Break Harder have lost wives and partners to death. And of course, we cannot say that it's the same. In some ways, the neuroscience says, this is not me saying this, but in some ways, the neuroscience says it can be worse because we can communicate with them. We can accidentally see them at the grocery store. We do still have to, maybe need to communicate with them about loose ends, whether that's a marriage, divorce papers, all of those kinds of things. And then we start with the disempowering thoughts. This itty bitty shitty committee kicks in fully. We say things like, I will never find anyone again. I'm going to be alone forever. I'm never going to find anyone just like her or anyone better than her. I just want to say that these thoughts are totally normal and probably work of the itty bitty shitty committee. I call it the itty bitty shitty committee so lovingly because really it's the itty bitty kitty committee. And I encourage all of my clients to find a picture of yourself when you were a little baby and to keep it next to you while you're doing this work. Because it's really the itty bitty kitty committee. It's this little baby self who didn't understand. And so we've got this faulty subconscious programming that's running in the background and is trying to keep us safe, trying to help us survive, but ends up just cycling really disempowering things inside of our head, trying to figure out what went wrong. Why me? I'm always going to be alone. This always happens in this way. I'm abandoned. I'm not good enough. All these disempowering things that cycle through the head. And one of the questions that came in is, how do I stop? How do I let go of the obsession? It's such a great question. We have, they say, 70,000 to 90,000 thoughts every day. It's a crazy amount of thoughts. What's even crazier is 95% of them are the same thoughts that we had the day before. And 80% of our thoughts are actually negative. And that's just our subconscious trying to keep us safe. We survived because we've survived everything that life has thrown at us. So even if it was painful, we technically survived. So our subconscious is going to reach for what we know. And if it's a breakup situation and our ex was meeting our need in some way, maybe meeting several needs, maybe for several years, maybe for several decades, maybe there was a marriage involved or children. All of these things can make the pain so much more acute. Whenever we have pain going on, that's a sign that we've got unmet needs. Somehow our needs are not getting met. And this is where unhealthy coping mechanisms come into play. We have an unmet need. And so we reach for that coping mechanism that we think is going to meet our need, but it's really just a poor excuse. So we've got an unmet need, we've got pain. The suffering starts with the stories we're telling ourselves about the unmet need. We have core wounds from childhood that are subconsciously programmed in, because when we were kids, we were in a meditative state. Our brain waves were literally in delta brain waves, which is deep sleep when we're 0 to 2 years old. And then from 2 to 7, we're in theta brain waves, which is a deep stage of sleep as well. It's like hypnosis. We're essentially taking in everything that's happening from ages 2 to 7 as absolute fact. Our parents are gods, they know everything, and anything that they do to us can't be because of some mental health issue that they have. We personalize it as children. We think there's something wrong with me. I'm not good enough for my parents' attention. I'm not good enough for my parent to take care of me and buy me food. I'm not good enough because I was sexually abused. So we internalize these shitty things that happen to us when we're kids that are not our fault. So we develop this itty bitty shitty committee because it's really the itty bitty kitty committee based off traumas, big T traumas, little T traumas, things that happened to us when we were in a meditative state, which is why in the programs that we run, we use meditation as a very gentle way to access these states of mind that we were in when we were children, so that we can figure out what the core wound is. What is the disempowering belief that's running? And then we reprogram them. And that's exactly what we learn to do in the programs in my company. So I'm seeing in the chat, I hope everybody's figured out the sound. I just happened to pop over there. That's why I said stay out of the chat and let Priscilla handle it. So I'll go back to some of the questions that I received when people were joining. I know some of these people are actually here. I'll skip over one because I believe that I have a volunteer about one of the questions that came through. I know that I won't call out your name, but I know you're here and you're always asking about coping skills and refreshers. Happy to talk about that. So whenever we have, just like I mentioned, whenever we are leaning on unhealthy or maladaptive coping mechanisms, like I said, there's a sign that there's a deep need that's not getting met. And so we're tending toward these coping mechanisms in order to try to get them met. So in the programs that I run, I help my clients figure out what their needs are. I mean, they have to do the work. They have to actually do the assignments and ask themselves those questions. And then we figure out how they can meet their needs, as well as how they can set healthy boundaries to ensure that those needs are going to get met and that their boundaries aren't going to get crossed. And eventually, once we really understand our core wounds and we understand our needs fully, we're able to learn how to move into healthy relationship and be able to communicate those needs with our future partner or with our mother or with our boss. These skills translate to every single area of life. So we can actually use things like attachment, our knowledge of whether we're anxiously attached or more avoidant, and utilize deep meditative states, as well as these, I call them pocket-sized techniques that you really don't need a pocket for, because you can pull them out anytime, anywhere. You don't have to have a quiet room and go into deep meditation. You can actually pull out these tools in the moment and utilize them, because I say that there are 3 levels of resilience. And when we're heartbroken, we need resilience. So those 3 levels of resilience are simply your body, your breath, and your mind. Why? Well, that's how humans develop. In utero, we develop physically, our body, for the better part of a year, about 10 months out of 12. Then we take our first breath and we learn how to breathe within the first few weeks. But our mind takes the better part of a decade to develop. Remember, we talked about 0 to 7? We don't have the development of a prefrontal cortex, that's this area of the brain right here, until we're around 8 to 10 years old. And it doesn't finish developing until we're well into our 20s, 25, 28, some studies show. And the prefrontal cortex is what helps us reason. But before that, we don't have that ability, and we're just taking in everything as fact. So these coping mechanisms in response to the question are just trying to get our needs met. But if we can figure out what our needs are, work through our core wounds, and be able to communicate that healthily to other people in relationship, then we start experiencing our life differently. And then we flip that on its head. Instead of the mind affecting the body and the brain, which is what happens when we're under stress. We get stressed out, we start that downward spiral, all the thoughts, all the questions, what went wrong? What could I have done differently? So then the mind is controlling the body and the breath. And instead, we learn healthy coping mechanisms so that we can become super aware of our body and what our body's trying to tell us, so that we can become very present and harness the breath, which is our life force energy. When we're stressed, we immediately stop breathing from the full capacity of our lungs, and we start breathing from the higher part of the chest. So we use these healthy coping mechanisms to actually breathe properly so we can oxygenate our brain, oxygenate our heart, and make really sound decisions going forward. So that when we're in that trigger state, we actually have a tool that we can pull out and at least settle ourselves for a few minutes until we can go in and do the deep work, figuring out, what am I making it mean? What's the disempowering itty bitty shitty committee story that I'm repeating to myself? And then let's do the reprogramming work. Let's see if it's actually true that I'm not good enough. Is it really true? Or is it just some story I'm telling myself from childhood, from some big T trauma or little T trauma that we just didn't understand when we were younger? Another question that came in, I know you're not shy, and she was here earlier. Is she still here? Hi, Diamond. This is Diamond's question. She asked how to trust again. It's a process, isn't it? The first person that we have to learn to trust again, you know who that is? It's ourselves. We learn to develop trust in ourselves. When we are people pleasers, which, let's be honest, society teaches women extrinsically and intrinsically to people please, to deny what we actually need. And just like that meme says, when we try to keep the peace, we start a war within ourselves. People pleasing is actually manipulative. It's an attempt to manipulate other people into how we want them to see us. And when we go against ourselves, betray ourselves, say what we want or don't want, and it's not true, we erode the trust that we have within. So in answer to your question, we develop self-trust by using those 3 levels of resilience, and by becoming more body aware, more breath aware, and more aware of those 70,000 to 90,000 thoughts every day, 99% of which we're not even aware that we're just repeating over and over again. We might be saying some really disempowering thing that our mom or our grandma or some teacher or coach said to us, and that we've just taken on as fact and haven't really analyzed. And so we get to analyze those things. I got another question that was similar. Good activities for building back self-trust, especially when you're feeling the pain of humiliation. Wow. This is what we do. This is why I absolutely love what I do. I teach you actionable tools that you can use in everyday life to develop trust in yourself again. And whenever we're in a state of humiliation, that's the itty bitty shitty committee in full force. It's our interpretation that we should feel a certain way because of somebody else's opinion. Humiliation is, you can call it shame or embarrassment. It's some level of that. And that's all predicated on other people's opinions of us. And the only opinion that really matters is our own. And so it's building trust in our bodies, building resilience with our breath, and allowing our mind to not be controlled by the things that we've been taught to say and that we've been repeating to ourselves for decades. Okay, so I am at the end of my questions, and I've got a lot of other things to share, but I want to open it up and just see. I know that, let's see, Tracy, not Tracy IE, but Tracy Y is here. And I think we were texting. Here, Tracy, do you want to come off mute? And
Hi.
Hi, Tracy. How are you?
I'm okay.
So did you want to, are you ready to, or would you like to do this live? I know we've
Sure.
communicated a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I saw your question earlier in the week. Is it the same question that you have?
Was it about the alimony?
Yes. I didn't want to say it out loud.
Yeah. Yep. So I was with my partner almost a decade, and last February the 13th, she came home from visiting her family and told me she was moving there, and she had just come home to bring this crutch she found to give to my mom. And where her family is 3.5 hours away. And she's like, I'm gonna pack my stuff. I'll be out of here in an hour. And I didn't know why at first. And of course she lied, and she's like, we'll do long distance and counseling. And I didn't know there was a problem. And then she went from that to a lot of hurtful things. I am older, like she's 45, I'm 55. And yeah, she said some mean things, and then packed her stuff and left. But as she was leaving, she told my children, don't worry, she'll be back. She loves us. I'm her best friend. She loves me more than anything. And then I didn't hear from her again. Except for on Facebook. She loves to do Facebook happy birthday and that's the, like, thumbs up stuff. So financially, she made more money, and I was reliant upon her. So just wondering if I should go after alimony or let it go, or because that nearly destroyed me. This last year's been difficult. Yeah. So that sums that up.
Tracy, thank you for your vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. So language is a shared contract. I took some notes as you were speaking. I just want to make sure I got this right.
Yep.
February 13th, she came home after visiting her family, announced after a decade-long relationship that she's moving back to stay with her family, which is about 3.5 hours away. Initially, she lied, said we were going to do some counseling, we'll do long distance, but then some things tumbled out. That same day, February 13th, is when some of these things came to light, or is it over
She
time?
said she was going to leave in an hour.
Okay.
Gave me 1 hour. And I said, I'll go with you. What if I move with you? because I love you. You're my partner. If it's important to be with your family, I can move there. I'll just have to set up some things in place because of my senior mom. And that's when things tumbled. Yeah.
Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Then things kind of got out of hand. You did mention this age gap. It didn't, and I don't know if that's super relevant, but you said she said some horrible things,
Mm-hmm.
and that otherwise you haven't really heard from her since February 13. So we're going on 6 months. And that she does like to do the dog and pony show on Facebook. There's still a connection there, and acting like everything's hunky-dory, and that must be painful.
Yeah. And she, it's actually been like last year. So I never told anyone. She never told anyone. She just deleted me as her partner on Facebook.
Yeah.
I wasn't dealing with it very well. And my mom's been in hospital. She would send messages like, hope mom's well and happy birthday and all that crap.
Yeah.
Bunch of bullshit.
Feels so vapid. Yeah. Feels so empty, right? Now, I know you're looking for a question as to whether or not you should seek alimony. I want to ask that question to you after we do a little bit of work. Okay. So thank you for your vulnerability. And I just, I want to take you back to that moment, February 13. And I just want you to know that you're safe here. We're all holding you. We're all supporting you. Okay. I know this might be painful. Actually go back to that moment, but if it's comfortable for you, I invite you to kind of close your eyes, maybe diffuse the sight a little bit, and just drop into your body and breathe intentionally, breathing in and out of the nose, just noticing all the places where you're being supported in the body. And remember that you're safe. We're all here. We're all holding you. Just go back to that moment on February 13, that exact moment when she said, I'm moving. I'm going to go back and stay with my family. Is there an area of the body, Tracy, that kind of lights up? That hurts?
It just immediately stabs my heart, but it just makes me sick to my stomach.
Yeah, so heart. And is it like the center of your heart or your like literal heart?
No, almost like chest area.
Chest in the center, and also the solar plexus, like feel this sense of personal power, just feeling like really disempowered. Okay, and just stay with it. You're doing great. Just stay with it. Diffuse the sight a little bit. And so if you go to these areas of the body and you just breathe intentionally, and you're to ask the body, what am I making this mean about myself? Because she was your wife, right? You said a relationship of 10 years. Because my partner is leaving us, this makes me feel that I am
Worthless.
Gosh, and you are not worthless, and we know that. But I understand that feeling. And so because you're worthless, what does that mean about you? Which is not true, but we're trying to get to the
lovable.
Not lovable. And does that feel stronger than worthless, or does it feel a little bit
less? There is a caveat to this. Prior to her, I had a 16-year relationship with a female. And when I wasn't home, she packed up everything and left a note on a shopping list. I'll be back for my shit next week. And then never talked to me or our kids again. So my next partner knew how deeply hurt And the comment that stuck was, at least I'm giving you an hour. And I didn't do anything wrong. I know that. That much.
You didn't.
That much I know. I loved her. And I didn't. I gave all my all.
Tracy,
So.
you didn't do anything wrong. This is clearly a pattern. Thank you so much. I wasn't going to dig into the pattern. This is really common. We see this a lot, that it's a repeated pattern. And so thank you for your vulnerability. I am going to just push just for the sake of time here. I'm sorry. So, you know, I'm feeling worthless. I'm feeling unlovable. And so what does that mean about you or your future? If you're feeling that way, it's not true, right? But this is how you're feeling, and feelings are valid. So what would that mean about your future? If you tap your heart space and into that solar plexus, how does that feel?
It would mean that I'm impossible to love long. You know,
I'm gonna ask a question, and this is not, I'm asking, so you can tell me, does it feel like I'm bad, I'm defective almost?
Oh yeah.
Okay. And does
I've
that
been through those ones? So
say it again, I'm sorry.
I've been through all those words, all the negative words, all the everything. I think it comes back to like feeling just worthless. Like she didn't value me. I was of no value.
No value. And so what have you done to equilibrate this, to reprogram?
Ooh,
so you found some of these things in therapy or otherwise, you know that you have these disempowering core beliefs, but you've never actually like worked.
Yeah. I've really tried to look like my patterns too.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Because I choose these, like I've only had 4 relationships. And
You're
I'm
so loyal.
55.
You're a good partner. Yeah, you're so loyal. And then this
all
just
been
happening
long. Yeah. So I mean, I was pregnant with my first kid at 16. So from 16 to 55, 4 relationships, they're long term. So I think I also jumped from my last relationship of 16 years into the next because it hurt so bad. I couldn't deal with the pain. So instead of feeling that, I moved to this person thinking that would hurt less. And I'm not going to lie, it did. It really did. So this is the longest I've ever been single. And at first it terrified me, but it's allowed me to breathe. It's not always good, but it's the first.
It's not always easy to breathe. It's not always comfortable. And then it's like, oh, what do I do with all this time for myself? Yeah, I get it.
It's so much easier because you don't deal with anything. So you're happy, new life, and put that pain away. But then it's like you get to a certain age when you're like, I can't. And I made a choice. I had a choice. I could jump again, or I could deal with the pain. And it's hard to sit with at times. And at times I think, how will I make it through the night or through the minute or through the hour? So I'm just trying to love myself.
Yeah, that's the key, is to love yourself so much and to listen to that little baby self. That's why I don't know if you were on yet, but like I encourage all my clients to find a little picture of themselves when they were kids, because it's not the itty bitty shitty committee, it's the little itty bitty kitty committee. It's our kid self trying to keep us safe. And so we just love that little baby self.
And I think I'm trying to give grace to myself.
Yeah.
So that when I'm not handling it well, that I allow myself grace.
So Tracy, can I push a little bit more on this core belief and do some reprogramming work with you?
Yeah.
Now, we won't reprogram tonight. It'll be your job to take this out into your life. And so what we do in our programs is I help clients get a lot more granular than we did tonight with very specific. I have a 9-step folding within process. We use a power technique for in the moment triggers. But I took you through really quickly to get to the core wound. So I want to ask you, I'm unlovable is what is the story, the pain, the suffering that we're telling ourselves here. Can you tell me, now in that relationship, that 10-year relationship, can you name some specific times when you were very lovable and you did feel lovable from your partner?
Yeah, I felt, I remember, because my partner before was in the closet, so 16 years in the closet, this partner showed me off, and she would hold my hand and be so
Oh,
proud to take me everywhere and introduce me to everyone as her partner. And then we went on a vacation. I mean, I have 4 kids. I've been a mom my whole life. So for someone who only wanted me versus me as a mother, I thought, wow, I'm special. She's
wow.
me for me,
Yeah. Okay,
wanted me.
so you've got some evidence that you are incredibly lovable, especially in this relationship. Now, I want to ask, based off what you know about your ex of 10 years and how she handles stress, could it be any other reason that she broke it off and gave you an hour and tried to be all valiant with her? Oh, I'm giving you an hour instead of leaving you with a note. I'm so sorry for her insensitivity there, but could it be anything else? Like, is there any other reason why she might have broken up with you that wouldn't be that you're unlovable?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How does she handle stress? Like, is she kind of avoidant?
She's what's that word that they do something and then they pull, like they don't get angry, but what's that word?
They withdraw. Yeah. So it sounds like she's more avoidant and you've got a little bit more anxious tendencies.
Like she's passive aggressive. So she, yeah, super passive aggressive. So she won't say anything, but her face will show it, her body will show it. But I really don't think it was me. I think the pandemic, work, stress, and I think by moving to maybe her family who loves her and cocoon her with love, and then by forgetting me and everyday life and the person she fought the pandemic with, that could be a memory, and that she could just move on without us. And I think it was excuses rather than take ownership of her maybe mental health. Okay. It was easier to mentally destroy me. But I also remember one thing, it's funny, old sayings come back. And I do remember my mom always said, when you meet people for the first time, they tell you who they are. And the first time I met her, she told me she was a cheater. She had cheated and how this whole betrayal behind the back. And then I thought about that, to move, to set this up, to have a place, to have a job, to go for a weekend and to come back and have all this set up. There was a
betrayal. This is major betrayal. So that's a big core wound. It's one that I've done a lot of work around myself, this feeling of being betrayed.
So it doesn't have to be sex. It doesn't have to be a person. It could be what their actions are behind you that you are unaware with. Because if you don't know, then you are it's the same thing as being cheated on. It's just without the sex.
And it sucks when there's something that we can't control, when we feel like we have done everything, we have not done anything wrong. There's this deep sense of injustice, and anger can really arise here. So that makes a lot of sense. I want to move on to somebody else. If we had more time, I would really push here with you. And I would ask you all the ways that you're lovable in every single aspect of your life, and we would write them down. And then I do have the option to create like a custom meditation so that you would be able to listen to these things in the morning and at night and really reprogram the subconscious so that you can experience life differently. Because because we have this thing called the reticular activating system in the brain that's filtering for us. And it's actually filtering for our core wounds, and it's filtering for our needs too. Science has proven that every single thing we do is us trying to get our needs met. And so when we're in this heartbreak state and our needs are not getting met and we feel like we've been betrayed and we feel like we're unloved, our brain is a needs meeting machine, and we will go to unhealthy coping mechanisms and try to get our needs met in any way we can. And sometimes that just sends us into this state of fight or flight where we really can't think, we can't sleep, we can't eat, we feel normal. And so I highly encourage you to join us. We are going to be highlighting some of the programs that we have available. We'll talk about those at the end. In weeks past, we gave 10% discounts for those people who volunteered. If you got one, hang on to it. There are none left. Tonight, we will share some links, and one person who signs up tonight will qualify for a custom meditation. And so that's a $450 value. So be on the lookout for that. One person who signs up tonight will qualify for that. So they'll get my voice in their inbox so that they can actually rewrite these disempowering, the itty bitty shitty committee. You can actually rewrite it with a custom meditation. So
Thank you.
would love to have you join us. I do want to move on, and I believe Priscilla, is it
I believe Cecilia was next.
Hi, Cecilia. How are you?
Hi, Sarah. I'm okay. Holding it together.
Yeah, I know you've had quite a week. So
Well, yeah, there's that.
here for you. So how can I serve you?
Today, Sherry and I went together to Sherry being my soon-to-be ex-wife. We went together to the courthouse to file our divorce. And holy crap, I'm sad. I feel like I failed.
Let it flow. What else do you feel?
I feel like I'm unlovable.
Where do you feel this, Cecilia?
In my chest.
In the center of the chest, or more on the left side where the heart is?
On the left side.
Yeah, that feminine side. So I want you to do me a favor and notice your body. Feel into the edges of your body. Notice where you're being supported. Close your eyes if you feel safe to do so. We're all holding you. We're all supporting you here. Just start breathing from the belly, through the nose, inhaling in and out of the nose. And really tap into this area of the chest where you're feeling this sense of failure and this feeling like I am totally unlovable. And just breathe through it. Send vital oxygen to this area. And just gently start asking those questions about when you felt this way before. And maybe when was the first time you felt this way? Anything bubble up? Memories, situations?
Not a specific memory, but
Do you know how old you were?
I was a very small child.
I have these things come up too where I'm like, I don't know exactly what happened. So we call that the unconscious instead of the subconscious. Subconscious, sometimes we can reach things, but when we're in that deep delta state, like 0 to 2 or 3, a lot of times we just get a feeling and we know I was really young and something really scary happened. And it's just like, I remember distinctly, I have a small child, she's almost 8. One time when she was like 2 or 3, she almost ran out into oncoming traffic, and I yelled and ran out and grabbed her hand and pulled her back, and she was so scared. and crying uncontrollably. And I thought to myself, because I know what I know, I think I just caused a core wound in my own child because I'm yelling at her out of my own fear to try to keep her safe. I actually probably caused a core wound in an effort to try to keep her safe. And so sometimes as kids, these things happen and we can't really locate exactly what happened. We know we were scared. We know we were sad. We know we didn't feel protected. We felt unloved. Something happened. And so we just love that little baby self. And so I want to just encourage you to stay with this feeling and follow it. Maybe it changes a little bit, this feeling in the center of the chest, this feeling of failure, this feeling of being unloved, and you were quite young. And this little baby Cecilia, she just needs so much love and attention right now. So can you just breathe for little baby Cecilia and tell her it's okay? The adults are here. We're going to take care of this. We're going to take care of you. And then I'm going to have adult Cecilia join me here. When you're ready, just tell that little baby Cecilia that it's okay, that we're here and we're going to equilibrate together. And so when you feel this feeling of failure and being unlovable, does it bring up anything else like that, like because you're unlovable or because you feel failed, that means you are
Because of the size of my family, a lot of my infant care and bonding time that should have been with my mother and father was assigned to my siblings. Um,
yeah.
and there's a picture of me laying on my brother on the floor in the living room, just laying on his chest. And I adored this brother. He's passed away now, but my entire childhood, he was my guardian angel. He took care of me. He kept me safe. My mother and I never bonded.
And so what do you make that mean about yourself?
That's where I'm not lovable comes from. My own mother
It's a feeling of
couldn't
like
love me.
unworthiness almost, right?
Yeah.
There's some sort of a defectiveness. Yeah. This is very common. These core wounds kind of have families. Now, can you tell me, knowing what you know about humans and knowing what you know about your family, is it true? Is it 100% certain that it's because you were unlovable that this situation happened?
But my divorce,
No,
my breakup.
with your family. With your family.
Oh,
Is it really because you were unlovable or was it the family dynamic? Was it the situation?
it was the family dysfunction.
And so
I still believe my mother didn't love me, but that's altogether different, I think.
it is different. Very good. Just because she's not capable of that does not mean that you are defective, right?
Right. Right.
So that speaks to her own cognition, her own capability, the work that she was willing to do in this lifetime. And so can you think of some other reasons now going to this current situation? Can you think of some other reasons why this divorce happened, knowing what you know about your ex-wife, that it's maybe not true that you're unlovable? Could it be something else? Some other reason?
She told me that I broke her trust.
Okay.
Because I lived with my first wife after our divorce for a month, and didn't tell her about it, like when the first time we met. And I thought it was rather irrelevant since it happened long before I met Sherry. Um, I wasn't withholding it. I wasn't keeping it a secret. It just hadn't come up in conversation. And it happened within the first month of us being together. And she said that she could never regain my trust, or I could never regain her trust.
Okay, so really what she claims, which is what she's using, she's saying that this was a trust issue on her part. She's really blaming you, she feels, just to be sure there, right? That's her
Yes,
data.
I know.
And she's
Yes.
blaming you for being untrustworthy. And you're making it mean that you're unlovable. So is it really true that you're unlovable in this situation?
No.
And so can you tell me, Cecilia, when you look at your family life, I know you have a big family, and family is my favorite F word, so maybe your chosen family.
Right.
Can you tell me some ways that you're lovable? Can you give me some specific examples, specific ways that you are lovable?
My friends tell me that I am the most tolerant and giving person that they know.
Wow. How beautiful. What about in other areas of your life? Tell me some more ways that you're lovable.
I was made to feel lovable during my legal career in California before I came to
Beautiful.
Indiana.
In your career, what else? What other
Yeah.
aspects of your life they have made you feel lovable?
The service that I did for my church, that I continue to do for my church.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead. I would keep going if we had more time, and I would get from you at least 10, 12 things. And then the way that we reprogram, the way we equilibrate is we review these things, because what's happening when we're having pain and suffering, we have an unmet need, that's the pain, and the suffering is the story that we're telling ourselves. And the story is always, always, always based off a core wound. So some shitty thing that happened in childhood that's not true, that our reticular activating system is filtering for. It's actively filtering for that to keep us safe because it loves us. It's not keeping us safe, but it thinks it is. And so the way that we reprogram is we actually write these things down, read them to ourselves as soon as we wake up, as soon as we go to bed. You can do meditations. I can create you a custom meditation where you can actually listen to it. You're actually in one of our programs, so you qualify for that this time. We are going to start charging for that in the future, but you qualify for it for free right now. So please just email me, send you the link. I know I sent the link out to a couple other people who aren't here, and so that is complimentary for a limited time. But keep on doing the work and just asking yourself, is this true? Can I know with 100% certainty that this is true? What else could it be? And then do the reprogramming work. And I know you've had a lot of things going on outside of just meeting with your ex-wife in divorce court, which is its own trauma in and of itself. Trust me, I know. So I know you've got a lot going on, but you know where to find me. And keep.
Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah, absolutely. You bet. Oh, and Cecilia, let me just check in. How's your heart feeling after doing just a little bit of this work and really looking at it? Is it feeling a little bit lighter?
I can breathe better.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. This is how the mind controls the body and the breath. And when we can flip the script then we can take control and actually use our body and our breath to control our mind. Very good. Great. Keep showing up. Keep
Thank
doing
you.
that. Let's see. I have a question from Priscilla. You want to tell me what's next?
I have Regina who has a question for you.
Regina, you gonna come and join us? Hi, Regina. Oh. I think, let me see if I can ask you to unmute.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too.
You doing
Everybody
okay?
else.
You struggling tonight? You okay?
Yeah, it's been obviously a really rough week.
If you need to pop off camera, that's okay. All right. Take care of yourself if you need to pop off camera.
I stupidly trusted her, and she came by here, and she's now using that against me in court. And at New York State, it doesn't matter. She could come by here, she could text me, she could call me, she could do a song and a dance, and just because she made all these accusations and pulled the order of protection first, I will always be at fault. I don't know what to do in this situation because, I have my family and friends are telling me that I need to figure out some way to protect myself. And it's like, I don't even have one. And even my own lawyer is telling me this is where the legal system is broken here. And she sees, I showed her all my video surveillance footage, and like she knows how to get at me, and it's at this point becoming like abusive and mental anguish to me. And again, I stupidly trusted her, like that's my bad.
Gina,
she said all the right things to be like, oh.
Regina, can I just tell you, there are exactly two things you can control, sweetie, and one of those things is your breath. It's your actions. So I want to encourage you to just start breathing in and out of your nose and come back into your body, because I know the spiraling can happen. This might happen. She being falsely accused, that fucking sucks. Feeling like you need to protect yourself, this I am unsafe wound. So just breathe in and out of your nose. And I want you to ask yourself, am I safe right now in this moment? Am I actually safe?
I am.
Okay. So this multifaceted problem, I know it seems insurmountable and it seems unjust. I hear a lot of anger, a lot of injustice, which is valid when we're being falsely accused. This is one of the core wounds that I've dealt with a lot too, being misunderstood and falsely accused. And it continues to happen, but I know what to do with it now. I know how to work through it. I know how to do the body work, do the breath work, and do the mental work to change the way that I'm seeing my life. Now, there's nothing that I can do or you can do or we can do about the state of New York, right? Or the current situation, but there are two things that we can control. And so part of that begins with just breathing properly and tapping into our baby self and being so kind and gentle and saying that we're here for you. So I know you're starting with us tomorrow, and I'm so excited to have you as part of the inner circle. So you know where to find me, and you know, there's only so much I can help you with here. Is there something specific that you think I could help you with before we move on?
I don't know, honestly.
This is a place for us to share in community. I mean, Friday nights when we are heartbroken fucking suck. This is why we created this space, because it's like the first night of the weekend. What am I going to do all weekend long? Sometimes we're so exhausted on Friday nights after working, and it's like we want to create this space just to be able to talk about these horrible things that happen and be able to, I mean, I think a lot of us here are shaking our heads like, yeah, been there, felt that way. I mean, you see everybody who's on camera shaking their head going, yeah,
I mean, it just, yeah, it all sucks, you know, like, I felt like I was making like huge strides, and in a moment of weakness, it's like it's almost like she intentionally knew that everything was coming to an end. She wasn't getting what she wanted, and she just knew how to pull me back in.
Yeah, this feeling of being manipulated is a really painful one, especially when it's this person that we've made all these promises to and we had this amazing connection with. I mean, lesbian love is so amazing, and it can involve a lot of hype, and then it's even worse when the rug gets pulled out from underneath us. And we have all these promises. We're going to deal with that in the program right now. There's so many promises that we need to unravel so that we can love again, so that, you know, that love starts with ourselves. But a lot of times, yeah, this person who knows us so well is the one who can really hurt us the worst. And that can be even more painful. So I just want you to know that you're in the right place. I'm so glad that you're starting with us on tomorrow with Revive Your Power Within. I'm gonna throw it back to Priscilla. Is there anything else? I know that there's been a lot of activity in the chat. I can't read all the paragraphs.
Yeah, just one more question. Diamond asked, is dating and sex too soon without trust, especially when you're not good at keeping it meaningless? Even as a TMN, my love language is physical touch, so it almost feels like withdrawals with not being able to feel that connection.
Wow, Diamond, there's a lot in that question. Okay, so interesting, because we are actually going to be announcing a new pilot program tonight that is not available to anybody looking at our website. It'll only be available to people who are here. And it will deal specifically with attachment and healing and relationships. Now, we don't give sexual advice ever. So the programs and the tools that I promulgate help you be able to make those decisions for yourself. I am very suspicious of any chiropractor or therapist or anyone who says you're going to come to me every single week and there's no end date. I want a start date and some goals and an end date. And that's why our programs are between 2 months and 6 months. We have some coming down the pipeline that will be longer format containers and much more serving the whole person, especially in the spiritual realm. But we really try to make sure that there's a container here where you have a very clear goal at the beginning of the 9 weeks. You're working through that. And then at the end of the 9 weeks, you're essentially on your own and able to support yourself instead of having to come back every single week and pay for a therapist. You know, this is teaching you how to therapize yourself so that you don't have to come back every single week, so that you have the tools. I call them pocket-sized tools so that you don't need a pocket. And is there a question here? Seems like most of us are everything. Yeah, it's so true. And the subconscious brain will seek homeostasis for as long as it can, and eventually we'll get to a point where we're like, this is just, I'm doing the same things and this is not working anymore. And so there's a reason why they call it a midlife crisis. Like, a lot of people turn to things and people, but if you want to do the work and heal, then you just learn to spin within and stop the downward spiral and learn to control the two things that you can, which are your thoughts and your actions, right? So I want to lead us in a quick meditation, and I know that we're over time. I hope that's okay. I want to lead us in a quick meditation and then share some of the events that we have coming up. So I'll go ahead and just ask you to find a comfortable space, close your eyes, and draw all of your energy in toward yourself. Notice the breath. Notice places where you are being supported. Feel into those places where you feel whole and wise, where you feel strong and capable, where you feel like, I am in charge of my life. I get to create from a space of love. I know that I can love myself. Breathe in some of that love of self, even if it's just a little bit. Breathe it into the nose and find that space in your body where you care for yourself, where you support yourself. Maybe it's only a few inches thick. Find that little place inside of yourself where you love yourself so much that you're willing to listen to little baby you. And intentionally breathe in and out of the nose and allow this little space inside of yourself to grow. This space where you love yourself, where you support yourself. Allow it to grow with every inhale, and allow it to expand with every exhale, just growing this literal space inside of your body where you care for yourself, where you support yourself, maybe where you accept yourself exactly as you are. Maybe you want to describe this area. Is there a color or a texture? Does it feel expansive or bubbly? And every inhale, grow this space of love for yourself, care, intention, compassion for that little baby self who created the little itty bitty shitty committee. Promise this space of love that you're going to listen to how important you are. You're going to listen to how much you are worth doing this work. And you're going to listen and just wrap your arms lovingly around that baby self and say, the adults are here now. We're in charge. We got this. Big, deep breath in the nose, big, deep, full breath in. Exhale out the mouth. Let the shoulders drop. Keeping the eyes closed. Big, deep inhale in the nose. Big, deep, full breath in. And as you exhale, just let the jaw release. Let the shoulders drop. Last time, biggest breath you've taken all day long. Big, deep inhale. And exhale. Let something go. Remaining with eyes closed for as long as you can. And just notice what has shifted. What's different? Make a decision right now about when you're going to return to yourself with a capital S, when you're going to invest in yourself again. Speaking of investing in yourself, you all should be able to see my screen. The program that we have starting tomorrow is the third iteration of this very powerful group program. We heal in queer community, and we learn how to stop the downward spiral. We learn pocket-sized tools so that when we become overwhelmed by whatever is going on, we've got the tools to get through it. And queer hearts break harder, and queer hearts heal in community. So we have not only weekly meetings, but we also have a 24/7 video chat where we are communicating, able to get support throughout the week. Of course, you know, we meet once a week and you get the replays immediately, so you don't really have to show up to the meetings because you'll get the replays. The real value is the private group chat that we have all week long, where you're getting support. Before I started doing coaching years ago, I did a lot of therapy years and years ago, and I would have a great therapy session, and then the next day something would happen and I would need support, and I would email them and they were like, oh yeah, we'll talk about it next week. So I've structured my coaching program so you actually get support during the week and can manage yourself with these tools. Right now we're running a program on Tuesday evenings that has a little less than a month left, but tomorrow on Saturday at 2:00 Eastern, we're starting a brand new Revive Your Power Within. And Priscilla's going to put the link in the chat to sign up. If you got a 10% off discount, hold on to it. Hopefully it hasn't expired. Or if you worked out a payment plan of any kind, that's no longer available. So you'll find a link in the chat to sign up. Here is a sample of the curriculum that we are going to cover. So I actually teach real tools that you, of course, have to implement. You can't just show up and expect to get this by osmosis. You just do a little bit of work a day, and then you've got your queer community. I say queer because it's usually lesbians, it's usually women. We have had some trans people, trans men, trans women, non-binary people come through, and of course, all the rainbow alphabet is welcome. But this program is an investment in yourself. We do have a special event that's actually in person. It'll be our first in-person event, not tomorrow, but next Saturday here in St. Petersburg. We're going to go kayaking if you so dare, or we've got a hiking option. I'm also leading a group meditation beforehand, and any of my clients, in case there's any clients on here who are not aware of this, I think I've reached out individually to all of you. Any of my clients who are local or within driving distance, if you're coming in for hiking, I've got you. You're in for the mantra meditation that I'm going to host at 2 p.m. that day. So just text me and I'll get you signed up for that. And then the next exciting thing that no one knows about, I think maybe one person in here knows about this special program. I will make sure, Priscilla, that it is showing. Can you see my screen now? Okay, great. So this one is for all of our people who are maybe like, I'm kind of over the heartbreak. I'm kind of talking to some people. I'm ready to move into a healthy relationship space. Well, let's learn conflict resolution tools. A lot of the things that we teach in our programs will actually translate over into your life. So this is a program that is not listed on our website because it is a pilot program. And like I said, only available to those of you who signed up or will get the replay tonight. We're going to be starting on Sunday, August 4. It'll be 90-minute sessions. So we'll do 45 minutes of me teaching as well as leading meditation, and then 45 minutes of us just practicing these tools. How do I get over my anxious attachment? How, if I'm anxious avoidant, what tools can I use to actually regulate my body? How can I have a healthy relationship with my avoidant mother? So that's where the live practice comes in every single week. So we'll meet for 8 Sunday Zooms. The final one is just like a graduation celebration, but we're going to have 9 weeks of chat support. That way you've got plenty of time to put these things into practice. So our last official meeting is like the 3rd week in September, then we'll have a graduation celebration, and then the chat support continues for another week. We have a proposed curriculum set that you'll see here. You can see that Labor Day does occur. And so that's the reason why we've got 9 weeks of support and 8 meetings, but actually 7 where we are learning. This program will eventually, and here's more, I can send out a flyer to anybody who's wanting to know exactly what we're going to do in each one of the meetings. Here are the exact dates, as well as the benefits. So if you're not familiar with attachment, like anxious attachment, avoidant attachment, or the combination of anxious and avoidant, so we're learning about how to actually meet our own needs, express our boundaries, dig up our core wounds, reprogram them, and build a solid relationship, and then call in the one.